What's good, guys? What's up? How are you guys? I hope you guys are doing good, and I hope you guys cashed out on your bets, because yesterday was a tricky night with traps all over. I knew there was going to be traps all over. So, with the community tab, I tried not to go too crazy. This Saturday, though, is going to be a little bit of a different story, but we're not going to talk about next week without talking about this week, so I want to make sure we talk about what happened last week. I got 5 picks wrong. Let's go over it. Let's go over the card from top to bottom. Quick little recap. Let's go. Bukauskas, I had the over 1.5. Bukauskas is an absolute demon. He actually ended up knocking out Rafael Sequeira in the first round. And maybe I should have got a better idea. Aibo Aslan KOing Sequeira. Maybe I should have known that the KO should have been a little bit faster, so the over 1.5 didn't hit. The under 1.5 was a better play for that fight. Uselyis, I had him by KO on points that hit, but I want to make sure that we talk about the Nikolai versus Vanderford fight. That fight threw me off a little bit, and we're going to talk about it for this week as well. Nikolai had me thinking that he was actually a little bit better because of his performance against Danny Barlow, and he went the distance with him. But Austin Vanderford had a successful UFC debut, and props to him, man. That was an absolute amazing debut, and the fact that Veretinnikov got a little salty and pushed him, I don't know. That's a little bad sportsmanship. Ricky Simon versus Nasrat. That is crazy. Shout out to all you guys who called Ricky Simon. That was an absolute crazy knockout. When I saw Javid Basharov get hit, fall down, get hit with that extra strike, I thought that was it for him. I thought his eyes rolled back in his head, and I'd never seen something like that on Javid Basharov. I never expected him to get knocked out like that. So that was a real awakening for me. Mansour was having a little bit of struggling with the takedown, and he was struggling with Klein. Klein is durable. He's durable, man. Klein made him work for it, and that was by far one of my favorite fights on the entire card. Mansour Abdul Malik had to work for it, but Klein is still good. He deserves to be in the UFC. A performance like Klein is somebody who we know, and we know Mansour Abdul Malik called out Antonio Ciccoli, but a performance like Klein, I might pick him his next fight. That was an absolute amazing performance. I did not expect that from Klein. He is durable, and he has a chin. Fili versus Costa. Costa first round sub. I did not expect that. I did not call a sub. I had the fight to go the distance, actually, and he actually ends up getting a sub, but we had Costa, so let's go. Kutalaba ends up submitting Aslan. Banger fight, drops him, submits him. Fair play for Kutalaba. Menifil versus Walker. I had Walker. And Walker, he's making this fight a little bit more competitive than it needs to be. He's clinching. He's getting hit with the big shots. We know what Menifil's going to throw. He's going to go overhand into another overhand. And he's going to wait. Kind of like a Yoel Romero, where he waits a little bit, waits for his stamina to get back up, and then he explodes. If you had Menifil, congratulations. That was a good play. Let's go. That was a sloppy fight, though. Silva by KO was a beautiful play. I wish I played it in just by itself, money line. I should have played it like that. I had Gene Matsumoto by points, and I was so close. And that third round, heavy, in my opinion. I think it has to do with the third round, how you look in the third round. If you're performing and you're doing good in the first and second, we know Joe Anderson Brito versus William Gomis had a little bit of a similar situation, which we're going to talk about in this prediction video. Joe Anderson Brito had a very good first 2 rounds, and William Gomis has a good third round. Sometimes the last thing you remember is how that fighter performed in that third round. And Gene Matsumoto having blood all over his face, Rob Font looking good, accurate, landing shots. That's what the judges want to see. So, win, lose, or draw, fair play to Rob Font. Rob Font is an absolute demon. But I didn't think he won that fight. Lock of the week hits. We're on a 2 lock of the week streak. Jose Delgado and Fluffy Hernandez. Let's go. That's all that matters, baby. And Song Yadong wins by technical decision. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Now let's get into the bets. Uselyis by KO on points. Got that, hit that. In all reality, I didn't go too crazy because I already knew what type of night it was when I saw Basharov get KO'd. I knew it was a little bit of a crazy night, traps all over type night. Anthony Hernandez by points, plus 107, plus 115. I had this for Gene Matsumoto, and I was excited up until that decision. It happens though. Anthony Hernandez money line. I got it at a minus 152, but you know how when you lock it on a live betting, and then the odds are fluctuating and it turns into a minus 192. I got it at a minus 162, and I don't know why it turned into a minus 192. Maybe because the odds were fluctuating so fast. Minus 192, not that much profit in my opinion, but it still hits. Let's go. And then this one, I had Rob Font, but I wish I would have told you guys about this parlay because I was just a little bit tired, so I was just like, let me do one more parlay. Let's do a little 5-leg parlay for the main card. Under 1.5, Eyeball versus Aslan fight. This is what I had this was one of my luckiest parlays, one of the only parlays that hit for me. Under 1.5 for Ian Cutelaba versus Aslan, hit. Gene Silva by KO on points, minus 310. Rob Font, plus 132. Anthony Hernandez by KO or on points. And Song Yadong by KO or on points for plus 1,700 and plus 1,173. Let's go. Hope you guys cash. Let's get it. Now we're going to get into the breakdown. Let's go. First fight of the night. We know that this card is going to be absolutely amazing. The reason why I mentioned William Gomis and Gene Masamoto is because we know William Gomis is a little bit timid at the start. You know, sometimes he doesn't have as much activity as you would expect him to, but we're going to see how he does in that fight against Hyder Amil. So let's go. First fight of the night. Let's go. Ricardo Ramos versus Chepe Mariscal. You guys already know who these guys are. Plus 330 for Ricardo Ramos. Chepe Mariscal minus 400. Ricardo Ramos, dangerous everywhere. Great BJJ. Good low kicks. Good management of distance on the ground. And he always looks for a finish. Slices through your guard like a hot knife through butter. Ricardo is always moving and tough as nails. His most recent win is over Josh Kulabau, where the leg kicks were taking a toll on him, but he did come back after some adversity with the wrestling. Matched up against Chepe Mariscal. Very good athlete. Very well-rounded. Great striking. Always looks very accurate, and he's always looking to put high volume, high output. He can work in some takedowns. Not much of a finisher, but a perfect fighter for 3 rounds in my opinion. Very good pressure. Chepe just beat Damon Jackson, which I expected Chepe to finish that fight inside the distance, but we had KO on points. Chepe's greatest asset is his cardio. Even against Morgan Charrier, the fight was so close, and Chepe always just keeps his volume and output at 100% all 15 minutes. Every single minute of that fight, Chepe gives his all, and that's something that we need to look at when we're facing a guy like Ricardo Ramos. We know cardio factor is going to be on Chepe Mariscal. Submission factor is going to be on Ricardo Ramos, but we have to mention, guys, how nobody's going Ricardo Ramos. Probably one of the biggest dogs on the entire card. That doesn't mean that he's not going to win, but what I want to say is this fight could end inside the distance. We know Chepe Mariscal most likely goes the distance more than often, but I will say if you have Ricardo, take him by submission if you like him, or take him plus 3.5. Maybe he could win a round. I will say I like the over 2.5, and I like Chepe Mariscal to win by unanimous decision. With Chepe Mariscal, his most impressive win on his resume, in my opinion, is Morgan Charrier. In my opinion, I thought Morgan Charrier won that fight, and he was on his way to winning that fight. But just like everybody sees everything different, just like Rob Font and Gene Masamoto, whatever happens, happens. He gave the decision to Chepe Mariscal. Now Chepe Mariscal has a good win streak, and he's building up that win streak, and he's trying to have more success in the UFC. So I think he should be able to win this fight. We just have to mention the finishing factor on Ricardo Ramos and the wrestling. We know against Josh Kulabau, he faced adversity. This guy's tough as nails. Who's to say he can't face adversity again? I think he could win the first round. I wouldn't be surprised if Ricardo Ramos wins the first round, and then Chepe Mariscal takes over the second and third. We know Damon Jackson was dominant from Damon Jackson, but it was still competitive. I'm going to go Chepe Mariscal for the win. I'll go by decision. Let's go. 29-28. I like by KO on points, double chance. You saw that I took Anthony Hernandez by KO on points, and it was a minus 150, so you get a little bit more juice instead of taking Anthony Hernandez by submission on points. If he's going to win by points, we take double chance on both sides either way. Let's go. Douglas Silva down Andrade versus John Castañeda. Sexy Mexi. Plus 174. Douglas Silva down Andrade versus John Castañeda. Minus 210. Very, very, very interesting odds in my opinion. Douglas Silva down Andrade is a powerhouse, a veteran, solid BJJ, tough as nails, doesn't initiate the takedowns if his life depended on it though, which is a massive factor because we know if if he's rocked or something, he might not even shoot a takedown. He loves to stay in the pocket more often than usual. Silva's last fight was a decision loss to Miles Johns, where Miles Johns looked amazing, and we know Miles Johns just lost to Felipe Lima, so there's no shame in losing to Miles Johns, in my opinion. Matched up against Sexy Mexi, John Castañeda, volume striker, looking to display his speed, output, and mix in some takedowns. The power's on Silva's side, but John Castañeda is more technical. John Castañeda just lost to Daniel Marcos, where he was no match for him. But we know Daniel Marcos had a very competitive fight with Adrian Yanez. John Castañeda needs to mix this fight up and set up his takedowns because Silva is hard to take down and will throw bombs. John Castañeda by KO are on points for me, but we know maybe the over 2.5 might have a little bit more value. Instead of me taking John Castañeda just money line at a -210, maybe the money line for an over 2.5 might be the exact same. So in my opinion, I do think maybe, I'd rather take that this fight goes a distance. Over 2.5 should be able to hit. I'm going to go John Castañeda. I'm going to go John Castañeda by unanimous decision. I'm just worried about whether he's going to be able to take down Douglas Silva de Andrade. We know he had a pretty competitive fight against Miles Johns. It was pretty close. It was 1-1, and then it was... Honestly, in my opinion, Miles Johns looked amazing in that fight. He looked amazing. That's why I don't take no credit off of Douglas Silva de Andrade. We know Miles Johns. We know what we're going to get with Miles Johns. I'm going to go John Castañeda. John Castañeda for the win, but his most recent loss to Daniel Marcos, not looking that good. Momentum stopped. We know Douglas Silva de Andrade can come back after winning. Let's see if John Castañeda has it. I'm going to go John Castañeda by decision, 29-28 after losing the first round. I'm just worried about the power as well from Douglas Silva de Andrade. Let me know what you guys got. Let's go. Let's go. Charles Johnson versus Ramazan Temirov. By far one of my most anticipated fights on this entire card. Plus 100 for Charles Johnson. Ramazan Temirov -120. Charles Johnson had a great year in 2024. 4 fights in 1 year. One of the most active flyweights on the roster. The amount of times I've done tape study on Charles Johnson is insane. I've rewatched his entire career all the way up until this point. And I recommend you should too. Charles Johnson is known for his speed, his volume, his technical ability, and long range. Very good cardio. Charles Johnson is 6-4 in the UFC. All 4 of those losses are people who decided to wrestle against him. This will be Charles' 5th win in a row if he can get the job done. We know he looked amazing against Sumadaji, where he showed improved wrestling. Matched up against Ramazan Temirov, a monster, a little small for the division, but very good ability to finish a fight. Ramazan is accurate, moves forward, and he cuts the cage very well, in my opinion. Sometimes, in my opinion, he's not a wrestler. He's not a wrestler. He has good takedown defense, and occasionally will throw some spinning kicks. Doesn't wrestle as much as I would like him to. Honestly, if that's not his base, that's not his base. He just had a successful UFC debut against CJ Vergara. Charles Johnson loses if you decide to wrestle, but that's even if you can take him down to the ground. You don't want to be striking with a guy like Charles Johnson, who's long, rangy, has great distance management, and can snipe you from a mile away. Look at what he did to Joshua Van. The power should favor Ramazan, but we know technical-wise, technician-wise, Charles Johnson is miles ahead, in my opinion. Charles Johnson should be able to win at least 1 round, if not 2. Temirov is going to be the pick. Low confidence. I'm going to take him by decision, but this fight could get ugly very fast. Whenever I look at Charles Johnson, I always think of that fight with Joshua Van. I had Joshua Van. I thought he was going to be able to win that fight, and Charles Johnson is very accurate, and he downloads data very fast. He can download data very fast, see what he's working with, deal with adversity, and adjust. The way that he was able to find that uppercut on Joshua Van, first he hit him over the temple, find that uppercut on Joshua Van. He can definitely find that exact same uppercut all day on Ramazan Temirov. But I will say, Temirov is going to be throwing flashy kicks. He's going to be trying to manage the distance, look for the counter, and I do think the power could maybe persuade the judges a little bit. Maybe if Ramazan is throwing with more intent, if he's putting the pace, if Charles Johnson's on the back foot, maybe Ramazan Temirov can win the first and second, or maybe the second and third. But we know Charles Johnson comes back heavy. He comes back heavy, and I like the plus 3.5 for Charles Johnson. I love the plus 3.5 for Charles Johnson. Majority Tapology is going Charles Johnson over 2.5. I think this fight goes the distance, unless some crazy KO happens. Maybe if you want to sprinkle fight ends by KO, I don't think it's likely. Double chance for either one of these guys if you're going to take anyone. Double chance for Charles Johnson by KO on points or Ramazan by KO on points, in my opinion. Double chance. If not, money line. I'm going to go Temirov, and I'm going to go by decision. I'll go 29-28 after losing the 3rd round. I think he's going to lose the 3rd round, but he's going to come in heavy first and second. Let's go, Temirov. Let's go. If you guys saw my live stream, guys, I was breaking down this entire card. I was breaking down this entire card for the live stream, so we kind of already got the gist of what we're working with. Andrea Lee plus 163 versus JJ Aldrich minus 188. Andrea Lee hasn't won a fight since 2021, which is something that we have to mention. 0-5 in her last 5. She's a GOAT in her division, a future Hall of Famer. She lost 8 of her last 10 matches. You can't get better than Andrea Lee. She's decent, well-rounded striker. She averages around 2 takedowns per fight, but she can't defend a takedown if her life depended on it. On the feet, Andrea Lee has more success. Andrea Lee usually loses by split decision, so maybe if you want to sprinkle a split decision prop, if you like that. I do think, though, I do think this is a minus 1-800 gambler fight, in my opinion. A very, very close fight. We know last week we had no women's MMA fights, and it was all finishes. So I think the over 2.5 is going to be very good for this fight. Obviously, it's going to be maybe a minus 400. But maybe if we take JJ Aldrich by decision, I'm going to be saying matched up against JJ Aldrich, of course. Obviously, maybe Andrea Lee can win 1 round, but we're asking for a lot for Andrea Lee to win 1 round. Matched up against JJ Aldrich, who isn't that good as well either. So this is why it's a 1-800 gambler type fight. JJ Aldrich, decent wrestling, very good top control once down. Gets hit more often than usual. She has a negative striking differential. And her last bout was a loss to Veronica Hardy, who we know lost to Eduarda Mora. So this division, it's 125. It's the lower echelon of the division. We got to see what we're working with. I think this fight goes the distance. It's a 1-800 gambler type of fight. I'll go JJ Aldrich by decision. Very low confidence. When we look at Tapology, majority of Tapology is going Aldrich by decision. But you never know. Andrea Lee could get that one win, her first win since 2021. What was that, like 4 years ago? Her first win in 4 years. But if we look at the competition that she was facing, Vivian Araujo, who just beat Karine Silva, beautiful win for Vivian Araujo. She's on the top echelon of the 125. Macy Barber, who is on the verge. She's a top contender. Natalia Silva, who's fighting Alexa Grasso. Miranda Maverick. And Montella de la Rosa, who we also know is fighting on this card. So, if you really look at it, all these girls are really good. So, when we look at JJ Aldrich, she doesn't compare to any of the girls that Andrea Lee has been fighting for the last 4 years. So, in my opinion, I think this fight's going to look a lot more competitive than a lot of people expect. I think Andrea Lee should be able to take off 1 round at least. I'm going to go JJ Aldrich for the win by 29-28 unanimous split decision. Let's go. Split decision. Let's go. Up the card. Let's go. Lucas Almeida plus 150 versus Danny Silva minus 190. This will be an absolute war. Lucas Almeida has a great 1-2. Always great striking. Always keeps it on the feet. 50% takedown defense. Lucas Almeida is coming off of that win by decision over Timmy Kwamba, where he went to work that fight. And he looked very good. Matched up against Danny Silva, a great boxer. One of the best boxers in the pocket I've seen in a while. Good technique. Good body work. But he does get hit a lot. In my opinion, he does get a hit a little bit more often than I would like. He has a very high volume and output and lands more than 8 significant strikes per minute. But we have to mention he's not a wrestler. But I doubt either of these guys wrestle. But we know Danny Silva showed us he can face adversity against Josh Kulabau, where he dropped him in the first round. And after the second round, he was forced to wrestle. Danny Silva gets hit a lot, but he can shoot if he's forced to. And that's something that I really like. Like when we're looking at fights like Almabayev versus Manel Kape, we have to see if these guys are going to be willing to shoot a takedown if they're hurt. A guy like Douglas Silva de Andrade, who we were talking about earlier, is not the type to shoot a takedown even if he's hurt. A guy like... Who's another guy who would never shoot a takedown? Another guy who would never shoot a takedown, like a guy like Gene Silva. A guy like Gene Silva would never shoot a takedown. He would love to bang it out. So with that being said, I need to know if you can wrestle. I like Danny Silva. Just in case he gets a little bit sloppy, he can wrestle. And we know that he had a successful UFC debut against Josh Kulabau. It was by split decision, but in my opinion, it should have been a unanimous decision. It was close, but it was pretty clear for Danny Silva. I'm going to go Danny Silva. I'm going to go by KO on points. I think he should be able to win this fight. I don't know if he's going to be able to find the chin, but I'm going to go Danny Silva by decision. I'm going to go 29-28 Danny Silva, 29-28 Lucas. I don't think it's going to be split. I'll just go 29-28 Danny Silva by unanimous decision. Let's go Danny Silva. One of my most anticipated fights to watch, just to watch and enjoy. Let's go. Montella de la Rosa versus Luana Carolina. An absolute banger fight in this fight right here. And the reason why I like to study this entire card is because when we study Andrea Lee and we study JJ Aldrich, we know Montella de la Rosa fought Andrea Lee. and that was her one win by split decision. And she broke a 3-fight skid, that being to Macy Barber, Tatiana Suarez, and JJ Aldrich. So she lost against JJ Aldrich, but she won against Andrea Lee. MMA math doesn't always work, especially in women's MMA. But you never know. That's why it's very important to go over this. So, let's go. Montella de la Rosa, plus 110. Luana Carolina, minus 130. An absolute baddie. It's main card time. Montella de la Rosa time. Let's go. She's one of the most beautiful girls in the UFC. Let's go. So it makes this fight 10 times harder to predict. Montella is a hard wrestler. She wrestled as her base to start her MMA career. Very good technique. Montana just broke her losing streak with a win over Andrea Lee, who we talked about earlier. She landed 3 out of 6 takedowns. She landed 3 out of 6 on takedown attempts, which is a bit of a red flag considering Andrea Lee isn't the best. Matched up against Luana Carolina, a striker looking to keep this fight on the feet. Good elbows, durable, 74% takedown defense. And we know Luana Carolina lost to Molly McCann. But ever since that loss, she's looking better and better every single fight. Especially in her most recent win over Lucy Padalova. But she did get taken down in that fight. If Luana can keep this fight on the feet and keep it in the striking department, I'm going to go Luana all day. I'll take Luana Carolina money line. And this fight might go the distance in my opinion. Obviously, it's women's MMA, so obviously, we're all going to say that this fight goes the distance. You never know. There could be a finish. I like Luana Carolina. I like the way she's putting up her performances. She's getting better every single fight against Ivana Petrovic, against Juliana Storilenko. That was a beautiful win. And against Lucy Padalova, she's building a streak. And she has something that De La Rosa doesn't have, which is momentum. Momentum is very important in this game. I'm going to go Luana Carolina. I'm going to take her money line. I think it's perfect. It's a good parlay piece as well. And I'm going to take her by decision. Let's go. 29-28, 30-27, and 29-28. Luana Carolina. Let's go. Main card time already. It's already time for the main card. Let's go. Drop a like if you guys haven't already. We're already here. Let's go. Austen Lane versus Mario Pinto. Austen Lane plus 270. Mario Pinto minus 330. The only MMA fighter to make his UFC debut on this entire card is Mario Pinto. Or Pinto. Austen Lane has been improving as of lately. Very fast twitch muscle, some decent wrestling as well. Lane is coming off that massive underdog win over Rubeles de Spain. In fact, Austen Lane is the reason why Rubeles de Spain is no longer in the UFC. His wrestling was put on full display in that fight. And we know against Jonathan Denise, he had very good wrestling as well. He wrestled hard in the first round. Matched up against Mario Pinto, a technician, good low kicks, good power. Mario has a habit of leaning back his head in order to move out of the way of strikes, in my opinion. He doesn't duck, he just moves his head back. And overall, he's a very well-rounded athlete, and his leg kicks should be a good factor in this fight. Lane will be looking to wrestle here. Mario has good takedown defense, which will be tested. Pick your poison type of fight. Mario Pinto by KO or Austen Lane by decision. I'm going to be taking Mario Pinto, guys. I'm going to take Mario Pinto. I went over this on live, and honestly, everybody was saying Mario Pinto by KO. But we do know Lane is always put in a position where he has to fight a powerhouse. And he had a no contest against Justin Tafa, but then they ran it back. Got knocked out in that fight. Jonathan Denise, he had successful first round. Won the first round. Then he gets knocked out in the second round, I believe. Austen Lane is going to come off. He's going to come out heavy. Like, he is going to look for that takedown right off the rip. Look to hold them down, control them, stall out the time. Maybe he could take off a round, maybe the over 1.5, because I know Austen Lane is pretty good at the over 1.5. Honestly, he impresses me time after time. I'm going to go Mario Pinto by KO. I'm going to go second or third round TKO. I'll go specifically second round TKO. Let's go Pinto for the win. Let's go. Nasrat Haqparast versus Esteban Ribovics. Nasrat Haqparast plus 210. Esteban Ribovics minus 250. An absolute banger. Fireworks for this card. I think this should be the co-main event. Nasrat is a very good striker, very well-rounded, high volume, and he always works with pressure. His most recent win over Gordon was a little closer than I expected it to be, and some could say he even lost that fight. Bobby Green laid out the blueprint to beat Nasrat. So, this is going to be a very, very tough fight. Matched up against Esteban Ribovics. Esteban is a unique striker, very accurate, undeceiving power, great defense, and a very high volume output fighter. Esteban's highlight reel of KOs is impressive, but Esteban also has great BJJ and a great blast double leg takedown. And I always look if you can wrestle. Wrestle, 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 because you're always going to need wrestling in the back of your pocket. He's coming off of that super close win over Daniel Zellhuber. Daniel Zellhuber dropped him with an elbow, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. And had a lot of success in that fight until the barrage of punches and overwhelming volume in the third round from Esteban. Ribovics is a dog who we know can face adversity. Watch his fight with Ribovics. Nasrat, to lose by decision, I think he's durable enough to survive, but it's risky. I know a lot of people are going to love that Esteban by KO prop. Esteban by KO or on points for me, but a sub is likely as well. So, with this fight right here, we know he lost against Ribovics, but that was a dog fight. That was an absolute dog fight. So with this fight right here, I'm going to take double chance, but the submission could happen. If Nasrat is on the ground, if he gets tangled up, if he gets snatched up, you know, just like Kutalaba and Abu Aslan, submission is just as likely in my opinion, but I'm going to go Esteban Ribovics by KO or on points. In my opinion, I think he should be able to win this fight, but we have to mention, guys, that fight against Jared Gordon was close, and some could make the argument that he didn't win that fight. It was in his hometown. They gave it to him. Rob Font situation. But I do think that his 4-fight win streak is going to come to an end with Esteban's Ribovics win streak continuing. So, I'm going to go Esteban Ribovics. I'm going to go by KO on points, and I think he should be able to win that fight. Against Daniel Zellhuber, I had Daniel Zellhuber, and man, Esteban Ribovics can fight for your money. If you need a guy to fight for your money, if you don't know who to pick, if you're, if you didn't like Seattle, if you don't like how Henry Cejudo, got scratched in the eye or he got poked in the eye and doctor stoppage, Esteban Ribovics is your guy. He is your guy. I'm going to go Esteban Ribovics by KO or on points. Let's go, my guy. Let's go. Danny Barlow versus Sam Peterson. By far one of my most anticipated fights on the entire card. And I'm not just saying this just to say this. Left hand to God. Minus 300 for Danny Barlow. Sam Peterson is a plus 260, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Danny Barlow, a real powerhouse, a technician, looking to manage range, keep this fight on the feet, and find the kill shot. Very good uppercuts and a left straight. Southpaw for Danny Barlow. Suits him very well, in my opinion, against most orthodox strikers or fighters. Danny Barlow looks off when he's on the ground at times. Danny Barlow's coming off of that win over Nikolai Veretinnikov, who we just saw him lose against Austen Vanderford in the wrestling department and push Austen after he lost. So Veretinnikov is not as good as I thought. Matched up against Sam Peterson. 4-1 in his last 5. 6'4", an absolute beast. An orthodox fighter with decent takedown defense. If he gets you down, he looks to snatch up some submissions. His most recent bout is a submission win over Kiefer Crosby. Sam Peterson needs to wrestle. I'm not sure if he gets it to the ground, but if he does, that's his bread and butter. Give me Danny Barlow by KO on points, but we know Sam Peterson is going to be looking to wrestle, and he has very good top control. If he gets this fight to the ground, we know he just lost to Yanel, and we know Yanel was matched up against somebody and that fight fell through, I believe. So Yanel is good in my opinion. I think Yanel is pretty good. I think this fight should be able to... I just don't know if Danny Barlow is going to be able to find that KO or not. I'm going to go Danny Barlow. I'm going to go by KO on points. I'll take double chance. I know majority of Typology is going straight by KO, but we know he went the distance in his last fight against Nikolai. And we know Austen Vanderford was able to finish Nikolai. Something Danny Barlow couldn't. But styles make fights. Styles make fights. And that's why we got Danny Barlow undefeated. We know 2025 is the year of the undefeated prospects losing. Gene Masamoto just lost last week. And I don't think he lost that fight. But I'm going to go Danny Barlow. I'm going to go Danny Barlow to win this fight by KO or on points, double chance. I'll go by second round TKO. Let's go, my guy. Let's go. Now, this one, I know a lot of you guys hate William Gomis. I know everybody, or a lot of people that I know at least, hate William Gomis so much to the point where they're like, this guy is a parlay buster. He busted that parlay with Joe Anderson Brito of mine, so he's very good. Minus 205 for William Gomis versus Hyder Mill, plus 175. William Gomis gets a lot of hate for his counter-striking and boring style, but it works very well in my opinion. William Gomis is very hard to track down, follow, and he is very defensively sound. Great grappling and great submission defense. One of the most well-rounded French athletes I've seen, but he can be timid at times. William Gomis just won over Anderson Brito, where Brito was a little bit too overzealous in my opinion. Matched up against Hyder Amil. This guy just spams hooks. Watch his most recent win over Lee. He just overwhelms his opponent with a barrage of hooks. He doesn't always do that, but the way that he beat Lee, I had Lee as lock of the week. I'm at my job, and I'm looking at the phone, and the first 30 seconds, Hyder Amil is just throwing the kitchen sink. He's throwing everything in the kitchen sink at Jung Young Lee. I believe his name was Jung Young Lee, yeah, and he just knocked him out. He just finished him. That was pretty funny, but damn, that was crazy. Hyder Amil is a powerhouse who is durable. He doesn't wrestle, but has very good ground and pound. He just destroyed Jung Young Lee in the first round. William Gomis is the pick. I think he can win this fight by unanimous decision, by dancing around the cage, doing the uses of the law, winning the first two, and then coasting the third round. We know uses of law did the same thing against Calvin Kattar. He's winning the first two rounds, and then he coasts the third round, and he's like running away. So I think William Gomis could do the exact same thing. I think this fight should go the distance, and I'll take William Gomis money line, and I'll take him by decision. So give me William Gomis to win this fight by unanimous decision, and give me that this fight goes the distance. Let's go. Although if you got Hyder Amil, you can take him by KO. He might bait William Gomis into a firefight. He might get him. Hyder Amil is an absolute demon. All right, let's go. Is this not one of the best co-main events in the entire year of 2025? Julian Marquez versus Cody Bumditch. Cody Bumditch plus 146. Julian Marquez minus 170. I don't know how Julian Marquez is the favorite. How is this the co-main event? Cody Bumditch. Cody has wrestled ever since he was little. Averages over 3 takedowns per fight. Kill or be killed type fight for me. Cody has an insane amount of luck at times with DQs. He just gets lucky. In his last fight, he had a no contest against Abdul Razak Al Hassan, where he complained about a back of the head elbow. And I guess it was fair, but be careful with Cody Bumditch. Matched up against Julian Miley Cyrus Marquez. Cardio is on the Brundage side, but all 9 of Julian Marquez's wins are inside the distance. Julian Marquez has a 100% finish rate. He doesn't hunt for submissions, but if they are there, he'll go for it. He lost his last 2 fights brutally by KO. His most recent bout, he lost in 20 seconds after Zach Reese KO'd him brutally. When Cody Bumditch fought Jacob Malkoun, I think of him like Aljamain Sterling when he took the knee to the head from Peter Yan. Cody Bumditch has gotten a very good tailor-made matchup for him, in my opinion, in this fight. I'm surprised he's an underdog heading into this fight. Bias aside, Cody Bumditch should be able to display his wrestling, mix it up, and win this fight. I think this fight should go the distance. I'll take Cody Bumditch. I think this fight shouldn't go the distance. I'll take Cody Bumditch inside the distance, maybe an under 1.5. Be careful with the under 1.5, so because we know in the Mansour Abdul Malik fight, the under 1.5 was a minus 205. And in what world should the under 1.5 be a minus 205? Never. No matter who's fighting, I don't think the under 2.5 should never be a minus 205. So I had the over 1.5 in that Mansour fight, but I had him in a parlay. I think an under 1.5 should be able to hit here. We just got to see the line. We got to see if it's too heavy, too greasy of a line, if it's playable, if it's plus money. I think the under 1.5 should be able to hit. But I do like Cody Bumditch inside the distance by KO or on points. I like that double chance. Double chance goes a long way if you know this, guys. This is one of the most unpredictable sports in the game. So if there's only 3 ways a fighter can win, by submission, KO, or on points, double chance excludes at least 2 of your problems. So that's why I love double chance. It'll always work, in my opinion. I'm going to go Cody Bumditch. I'm going to go by KO or on points. He might be able to... I see some people sneaking in some submission right here. They're saying that maybe a submission could be likely. I like fight ends by KO. I like Cody Bumditch by KO. I like the under 1.5. And I like Cody Bumditch by KO or on points. Let's go, Cody, for the dog. Let's go. I think this is one of my first times I'm picking Cody for the win. I don't think I've ever picked Cody. So let's go, Cody. My guy, let's go. Main card time. It's already the main card time. Are you guys excited or what? Are you guys excited to be here or what? Like the video if you guys haven't already. Thank you guys for all the support that you guys giving me. And thank you guys for all the love, guys. You guys give me extra motivation to keep on doing this every Sunday. So let's go. Manel Kape versus Almabayev. Let's go. Minus 245 for Manel Kape. Also Almabayev plus 210. Brandon Royval should be here. I wish Brandon Royval was here. He deserves it. Manel Kape is a true mixed martial artist with excellent management of distance, creativity in his strikes, and he is a knockout artist. A southpaw that is light on his toes, looking for the counter. Very good wrestler as well. Always puts on a show. One of my favorite fighters to watch perform is Manel Kape. He's coming off of that crazy performance over Bruno Silva, where there was a lot of consistent fouls from Bruno Silva. And we know that, I don't know what you guys think, but I think Bruno Silva was fouling in order to look for air. I think he needed breaks. I think he was a little bit tired, and he was looking for a break. And he keeps on fouling Manel Kape. Then Manel Kape ends up fouling Silva back and finishing him in vicious fashion. So we know the groin strike was very prevalent in that fight against Bruno Silva. Matched up against Almabayev, a true technician, but a real grappler. Very good spinning kicks. His shot selection for takedowns is his bread and butter. Looks for position over submission. During the scramble, he may find an opening and threaten some submission attempts, but he's looking to hold you down and maintain top control. He has great cardio as well, which will be a massive factor for this fight. 5 rounds. His most recent bout is a decision win over Matheus Nicolau, where he dropped Nicolau, but Nicolau defended 5 takedowns and only got taken down once. We know Nicolau got cut from the UFC and was known for being chinny, and he wasn't able to finish that fight. Manel Kape will be looking fast, and he will be looking sharp right off the bell. As soon as that bell rings in the first round, Manel Kape has that fast twitch muscle. He's going to be faster than Almabayev, in my opinion, and his speed might be unmatched. And we know against Matheus Nicolau, if you're not able to take him down, that's looking a little weird. If you're failing 5 takedown attempts and only being able to take him down once, I don't know, it's a little bit off. I need you to be able to take Matheus Nicolau more than once down. And we know momentum is very important in this fight game. So, if Asu can get this fight to the ground, he can have a lot more success than people expect him to. And the live odds could get a little bit more closer than they were expected to. I do think, though, Manel Kape has had a lot more time to prepare for this fight, and he is ready. He's ready to fight anybody, no matter who it was. He's ready to fight anybody. Momentum is very important, like I said, in this fight game, and Asu has lost before, but he's never lost in the UFC. And we know Manel Kape is a little bit of a veteran in the UFC. I think this is where he faces his first loss inside the UFC, guys. Manel Kape should be able to win this fight on the feet. He should be able to have success and maybe hunt for a finish. Manel Kape by KO on points. I think this fight goes all 5 rounds. Manel Kape by 48-47 decision. So, also Almabayev is a little bit short for the division. We know the reach is a 2-inch reach advantage for Manel Kape. I think even if he had a reach disadvantage, he still would perform. Earlier, I was leaning towards Almabayev, but now that I see it, now that we get closer, the time that Manel Kape has had to prepare, the striking, the defense, the takedown defense, keeping this fight on the feet, and momentum. We know he lost to Muhammad Mokaev by the wrestling department, and a little bit of pressure in wrestling, you can go a long way in the flyweight division. Win or lose, I know Almabayev is going to be a top contender. He's going to be a top 5 contender, win or lose, no matter what. Whether it's after this fight, whether it's 5 years from now, 2 years from now, I think Almabayev is he's gonna have a lot of good fights in the UFC, and he's gonna be a top contender. He might lose this fight and then bounce back and win a couple of more, and then get a good win streak going. I think Almabayev might lose this fight, get his first loss in the UFC. We know he just had his UFC debut, I believe, a couple of fights ago, 4 fights ago. His UFC debut was against Ode Osborne. He ended up getting a submission. That submission might be prevalent against Manel Kape in a scramble. In the scrambling department, maybe Manel Kape is giving up his neck when he's getting up, and then he gets wrapped up. I don't think it's likely. I like, maybe if there's an over 2.5, I like that. I'm going to be taking, I'm going to take Manel Kape. I'm going to take Manel Kape, medium confidence. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think Manel Kape can get this W? Do you guys like his money line at a minus 245? Maybe if we take him by KO on points, it turns into like a minus 170. So I'm going to be taking Manel Kape by KO on points. I'll take the over 2.5, and I'll take that this fight goes a distance. Let's go. I can't wait for this fight. Are you guys excited? We're back at the Apex, so no more crowd. But come on, we got fights. We got fights all the way until April. Until like halfway through April. Thank you guys for everything that you guys giving me. Subscribe. We're about to hit we're so close to 3K, guys. Obviously, it's, you know, it might look a little far from now, but we're about to hit 2,300. We're about to hit 2,300, and that's a goal that I wanted to hit. So I hope you guys can make me hit that goal or help me hit that goal. Let's go. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys liked the video. Stay tuned for my 6 best bets and my lock of the week on Wednesday. Who do you guys think my lock of the week is going to be? Who do you guys think it's going to be? Let's go. I'll see you guys in the next one. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Stay blessed. Peace. Hey.